Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. I hope all of you are fine and having good health. Today we have topic that is the two forms of bonds. That is the covalent bond. It is having basically its two forms. The number one we have polar covalent bond, and second one we have non-polar covalent bond. So these two types of the covalent bond, the one is polar and the other one is non-polar covalent bond. It is basically due to the difference in the electronegativities, electronegativity difference. Now, what does mean by the electronegativity? Basically, electronegativity, it is the force of attraction that attracts the atoms. It attracts the atoms towards itself in a chemical bond. In simple words, when there is a formation of the chemical bond or the covalent bond between the atoms, for example, here we have the atom A and here the other atom we have B. Now, there is a formation of bond between these two atoms by the sharing of the electrons. And these two atoms, the B can attract this shared pair electron towards itself more tightly. It means that atom is more electronegative and the atom A it is less electronegative because its ability to attract this shared electron pair towards itself it is less as compared to the atom B. So due to this difference of the electronegativities between the atoms, we have two forms of the covalent bonds. The first one is polar covalent bond and the second one we have the non-polar covalent bond. So let's have a look that what is difference between these two bonds. The first one is polar and the other one we have non-polar. So the polar covalent bond, this bond will be formed between the atoms by the mutual sharing of electrons, mutual sharing of electrons between atoms, and these atoms are different atoms. If the atoms are different, it means their electronegativity will also be different, and the shared electron pair or the bonded electron pair, we can say that electron, it will not equally distributed between the atoms. So, for example, the bond between HCl, the one is hydrogen and the other is chlorine. Here, there are two different atoms. The one is hydrogen and the other is chlorine. The second example we have is the water molecule H2O. Here we have the two atoms different, oxygen and the hydrogen. And the third one example we have ammonia NH3. Here the nitrogen and the hydrogen, they have shared the electron pair and they form the bond, covalent bond, as the bond is between two different atoms. So this bond will be known as the polar covalent bond. So let's discuss its example in detail. The first one, as we have the HCl. When we have a look on the HCl, its name is hydrochloric acid and hydrogen. It has only one electron in its valence shell, and the chlorine, it has total 7 electrons in its valence shell. Now these two atoms will share their electrons and they will form a bond that is known as covalent bond by the mutual sharing of the electrons. So we have hydrogen Second, we have chlorine. So they will share their electrons like this, and this we have chlorine. And the simple bond formation will be like this, hydrogen and chlorine. Now, when we're going to talk about the type, this polar covalent bond, how this bond is a polar, as the electronegativity of chlorine is more as compared to the hydrogen. So the shared electron pair will be more towards the chlorine. So the shared electron pair will be attracted by the chlorine. Due to this attraction of electrons towards the chlorine will acquire the charge partial negative, and these electrons are far away from the hydrogen, so it will acquire the charge partial positive. As the two poles has been created, the one is positive and the other is negative. So that's why this bond is known as the polar covalent bond. So this is a simple type of the covalent bond, that is polar covalent bond, and this bond is always going to be exist between the two different atoms. And as the bond has been existed between two the different atoms, so this bond is known as the polar covalent bond. So second example we have, it is ammonia NH3, as we have nitrogen and 3 hydrogen. When we draw its structure, the central atom is nitrogen, as it has total 5 electrons in its valence shell. The one pair is unshared. It will bonded with the 3 hydrogen like this, as these are the 3 hydrogen atoms and their electrons like this. So nitrogen and the 3 hydrogen. So this is a simple structure of the ammonia, where the electronegativity of ammonia is more, so it will acquire the charge partial negative, and all the hydrogen will acquire the charge partial positive. So this bond is also a polar covalent bond. Next we have its second type, that is non-polar covalent bond. So the non-polar covalent bond, it is always formed by the mutual sharing of electrons, formed by the sharing of electrons, and this bond will exist between two same atoms. Now what does mean by these same atoms? As the bond between two hydrogen atoms, the bond between two chlorine atoms, the bond between two fluorine atoms. All these atoms having the type of bond that is non-polar covalent bond. So let's discuss its first example, that is hydrogen. So here we have hydrogen H2. The first one hydrogen having one electron, and the second hydrogen is also having only one electron. After the mutual sharing of electrons, the two hydrogens will share their electrons like this, and we have its diagram like this. As the electronegativity of both these atoms is same, so the shared electron pair will be in the center, and the distance from these two atoms will be same. So there is a no acquire, or there is no charge on the two atoms. So this bond we called it as the non-polar covalent bond, because no formation of the charges, because the electronegativity of both the atoms will be same. When we have two chlorine atoms, so their electronegativity is also same. So the bond will be non-polar covalent bond. So this is all about our today's lecture. If you guys have any queries, you may ask me about that in the comment section, and I will get back to you guys soon. inshallah. And the next topic we have, it is the fourth type of the chemical bonding, that is metallic bond. For that time, have a good day and Allah Hafiz.